Hey there. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about how to share marketing at your appointments, your beauty experiences and your appointments. So we have this closing sheet. Looks like this. I laminated mine. I like to use it as a placemat, so I have it underneath their mirror and their tray so they can kind of like look at it throughout the appointment and like kind of read some of the stuff here and there while they're maybe waiting for everybody else to finish profile cards and things like that. And so what I do at the end, after I've gone through all of the skincare and color, we did everything with them at their appointment, and I let them know, like, as part of your leadership training, you are learning how to walk people through some information about this company, how to ask questions and answer questions. If you are like a seasoned consultant and you're like, I'm not going to tell them I'm in training anymore, then you can tell them that you're working on a leadership curriculum and you're putting that together, and so you are finding out what kind of questions that women want to know about this business, this opportunity, because you know that this has dramatically changed your life and that you are so passionate about it, and you just want to tell the world about this like best kept secret in America and how awesome this company is. And so you just want to just ask questions, because you could be here till, I just say, like, I could be here till next year telling you all the amazing things that I love about this company, but I want to know what you would want to know. So I'm going to have you take this sheet that you have in front of you, and I want you to just like look it over. Give them a minute to kind of preview it while you're picking up the mirrors and trays and throwing away the trash and doing that kind of stuff, like clearing off the table. And then after they've kind of had a chance to look at it, I'm going to tell you a little bit about, you've already kind of opened it up and told them like your story a little bit in the beginning of the beauty experience. And so now you're going to talk to them a little bit more about like the company or the mission behind the company. Maybe you talked about that in the beginning, so you don't need to, but the things that I like to really tell them is like why we're so uncommon, that Mary Kay created this company for the sake of us. Not for the sake of her, not for the sake of the company, not for the sake of the product. The product is as amazing as it is because we put so much research and development into all of our products to just ensure that we have a quality product to represent, but that product is meant to be that vehicle for us that allows us to build a business and really create the lives that we want for our families. And so Mary Kay started this company for the sake of giving women more options and the ability to be able to control their future and their time and be able to put their time into things that are important to them. So her philosophy was God first, family second, career third. She wanted us to be able to be home with our families and not have to sacrifice time at home in order to have a successful career and make an executive income, or vice versa. She wanted women to be able to have both. And so she was so passionate about just providing a place, a vehicle that was going to give women the ability to create the life that they want. And so it's so different than most companies, because most companies are created for the sake of the success of their company. And so when people are there to work for that company, you're there to make money for that company. So when I worked in my old job, that was my purpose there, was to bring money in for the company, that everything that I was doing was for the sake of growing that company and building things for them and making the company money. And it didn't matter how hard I worked or how much time I put into it, I was just making the company more money. And it was not changing my family situation, my financial situation. It wasn't changing my future. It was changing the future of the company. And that is usually how that works when you work for somebody, or if you are even an independent contractor for another type company, that most companies are created for the sake of the success of their product and their company. And so that even in other direct sales companies, you're still there as a means to make that company money. And Mary Kay didn't start this for that reason. She had started it. She had the whole business plan in place for the women who were going to be a part of it, how we could have the highest commission plan, how we could maximize all the benefits of owning her own business. And then she decided on the product. She didn't even know what they were going to do. She didn't wake up one day and say, we're going to have a cosmetic company. She said, I'm going to create something that's going to give women more freedom and more choices. And so she put everything together. She even had 9 other women jump on board with her and help her create this business plan, who thought like she did, who had the same passion she did, who understood what she was trying to accomplish with it. And they came on board, and then they decided on skincare and cosmetics because it's recession proof. There's only 3 industries that are recession proof: alcohol, tobacco, and cosmetics. I'm glad that we're in cosmetics. And it's consumable. Women are going to use it and wash it down the drain every day, morning and night. And it is easy to market because everybody has skin. So especially for women, we can talk to people about skincare in cosmetics. So that's why she chose that as the product. It was never about the product. It was never about her. It was never about the company. It was about us. So that's really what makes this so uncommon. The sisterhood, the environment, everything about it is so different than anything you would ever have experienced before in your life. It's like trying to explain Disney World to someone. You just can't. It's like a feeling, it's an experience, it's a culture. It is in a league of its own. So what I'm going to have you do is I want you just to kind of, whether you've ever thought about something like this for yourself, I want you just to morph yourself into someone who was looking at an opportunity for themselves. They were looking at wanting to have something that was theirs to give them more freedom, more income, more choices. So I want you to put yourself in that place, and I want you to ask me questions of like, what would you want to know? What kind of things would you want to know about? Like kind of using this page as like a reference to just spark some interest in you, to give you some idea of what kind of things that you would want to know about if you were going to pursue this yourself. And this is great for my training if you presented it that way, for me to learn, like practice answering those kind of questions. Or this is great for me to have a reference, like you could even be writing the questions down as they're asking them for your leadership curriculum putting together. But I just tell them that we're doing this. They're going to fill out the questionnaire and the portfolio you're working on, so that they can answer the questions in there for you. So there's just lots of different reasons you can tell them why you're doing this, but I always share the opportunity with everyone at every appointment, because you never know whose lives are going to change. Gloria Mayfield-Banks, who's the #1 national in the entire nation, was found at a beauty experience. She went to a party and someone showed the opportunity there, and she signed up, and she is #1 in the world, Mary Kay. So it is important. So sharing this with them and then answering their questions, and you don't have to know everything. And especially if you're new and you're saying that you're practicing. And I've even had consultants as their director, like you can do this with your director too, like they would just call me and say, hey, someone just asked this question, I'm at a beauty experience right now. Can I put you on speaker? Or can you give me the answer? Or can we FaceTime you? Or whatever. Or they'd box me or whatever. And then if I could answer it right there on the spot, then I would. If they couldn't get a hold of me at that moment, then I would respond back to them, and then they would get the answer to that person. And so you can just even say that, like, I'm in training, I'm learning. I would even tell people, even now, I'm like, okay, I give you, you're doing the ticket game, I tell people this is a double ticket round. They get 2 tickets for every question they ask. Or if you're not doing tickets, bring candy, like throw chocolate at them. People ask questions for chocolate. And so I tell them that, like, if you stump me, I will give you a free product. Or if you stump me, I'll give you 10 tickets or whatever. And then if no one has asked yet, like, how to get started, then I tell them there's like $1 million question. Who knows it? Like, what if you were going to do this, what would you have to know? And then they usually are like, how do you get started, or how much does it cost? And then you can walk them through the starter kit, which is on the reverse side. So I like laminate it so it's this side, and then they can see the starter kit on the back, which is so important for them to have that visual. You could even have them take the dry erase markers and like circle things on here that stand out to them, and then they can share that, like what stood out to them, what surprised them, or what impressed them, or whatever. So having them ask those questions. If people are like looking at you, most times they're going to ask questions, but if people are kind of looking at you like deer in the headlights, like I don't know what to ask, if it's just like a really shy group or something, then you can just start kind of saying like, would you want to know about the diamond rings, or tell me about things that you noticed on there, and just let people start sharing some things. A lot of times I will say, so you see that there's cars on there, you can actually take the free car, you could take the cash option. So like if I didn't take my Cadillac, I would get a $900 cash bonus every month instead. Like, what would you do? Who would take the car and who would take the cash? And then they would raise their hand, and half people are going to say cash and half are going to say car. So you'd say, okay, well, they also pay your taxes, license, registration, and about 90% of your car insurance. Now, who's going to take the car and who's going to take the cash? And now more people are taking the car. And then I'll say, and you get a new one every 2 years, brand new car. It's like every time you upgrade your phone, you upgrade your car. Like, for real. How awesome is that? Like, now who would take the car and who would take the cash? So I just kind of like give them more information until they're kind of like, so how do you run a car? Or how do you do this? Or can everybody get a car? Or maybe I'll just share other facts, like Mary Kay has more career cars out on the roads than any other company in the world. There are more people, more women driving, men too, driving cars, Mary Kay cars, than like FedEx, UPS, like any other kind of company vehicle. So that is an awesome fact. You can share all kinds of things, anything that you think of just to kind of fill it until people are like, well, what about this? Or how do you do this? Or da, da, da. And then you can even ask people, like, so if you were going to do this, like, what would the reason be? Like, you can ask them questions. Like, Mary Kay's really big on helping women build confidence. If you had 10 times more confidence, what would life look like for you? Just have kind of those questions in the back of your mind to fill that time if they're not asking the questions, but most of the time they're going to, and it's going to kind of pique their interest. So then when you're doing the individual close, you have them answer on that question that, like, on a scale of 1 to 4, what's your interest level? If you've watched my closing video on how to close people, then they're answering that question for you, so you know what, when you're meeting with them at the individual close, you're saying, so tell me about why you put a 1, tell me about why you put a 4, tell me why you put a 3. Like, they're walking you through that, because don't rule out a 1. Because just because she's 1 doesn't mean that she isn't a 4. She just put a 1 because school's about to start, or whatever. She's about to have a baby. I don't know, like, just whatever's objection she's got in the back of her mind. And that gives you a chance to, like, help walk her through those objections and help her make a decision. And whether that's signing them up on the spot, which is the best way to go, sign them up on your iPad or InTouch. You just go on to InTouch, you go under business tools and online agreements and have her fill it out on the spot, because you want them to sign up closer to the product, like closer to hearing about the business, because the more time that passes that she's heard about everything and she was excited about it, and then time passes and she forgets why she was excited and forgets why she wanted to do this, or she asks other people, she puts her life up for committee vote and she asks other people what their opinions are, and they haven't heard all of the awesome information that she just learned, and so they're gonna rain on her parade. And so you want her to be able to make a decision based on what she's excited about as soon as she can, so leading her to a decision. So if she's not signing up on the spot, do her interview with her immediately, like within 24 hours, whether that's with your director or if you're doing it on your own, do it right away so that she can learn more, because sometimes they just need more. Maybe she needs you to break down how the numbers work and the percentages and all of that. Like, maybe she has a really detailed personality and wants to know those things. And then you can share that information with her. Or if maybe she had a lot of great questions and didn't really know the answers to it, like, you know what, like, let's get together over the phone or coffee or whatever with my director tomorrow. Like, she'll be able to answer all those questions. It'll be great training for me, because then I can learn how to answer those on my own. And you were so great at asking questions. And so even if she said she was a 1, I would just say, it would be really awesome for my training. Could I please use you for that? Because that's one of the questions you're asking her at the individual close, is booking her for your leadership training. So you make it about you, not about her. Not that, not that we don't want her to feel like we're gonna expect her to sign up on the spot or to expect her to make a decision. She just take all of the pressure off of her. It's all about her helping you with your training so that you can learn how to interview people on your own, or you can listen to your director do it so you can take notes. So you're setting up that leadership training call or appointment like within 24 to 48 hours, so that the information is still fresh and helping her get to that decision. So that's how I like to share the opportunity at my appointments, my beauty experiences. It's a great way to just find out what they want to know versus telling them everything about everything, because we really could sit there for a year telling them all the amazing things and all the prizes and all the rewards and all the incentives and every reason why we love this company, but they may not want to know all of that. They might just want to know, how do you make your money, or how do I get a car, or how much do you make on your profit for the product, or whatever. You just tell them what they want to know about it, and it just gets their wheels turning and gets them intrigued. So there you go. If you have questions, do not feel afraid to reach out to me or to your director. We're happy to help you with that. There are also on the website, like, how to overcome objections, how to walk people through different objections like time and money and different things like that, so that you can feel prepared at the individual close when you're walking them through what could possibly hold them back.